And welcome everybody back to another episode of Next Level Real Talk Podcast with Sheldon and David. What's up, David?
Not much. Just sitting here in Arizona, waiting for school to start. Melting a little bit. It's getting
Trying to
hot
cool
again.
off,
Trying to cool off. So,
trying to stay cool, which is
yeah,
not an
we're in that
easy task
season.
in Arizona.
No, even in the house is kind of
Yeah,
hard. But
yeah.
school's starting. So excited about school and about swim coming up. So, got some good things going. And we know we did miss last week. Okay, we both had things going on. If you remember that, if you follow along regularly, we both had things going on. So sorry about that. Hope you got to go and listen to some. If ever we do miss a week and you don't hear anything, just go back and find your favorite episode and just kind of listen in real quick.
Yeah.
So we encourage you to do that because we do have life going on over here too.
Yep.
Sometimes it's hard.
And
So,
even this week we're sitting there going, okay, what are we
mhm,
going to talk about this week? And
yep.
usually for us, something will pop in pretty clear.
Mhm,
Like, okay, this is the message for the week. And before we hit record, right, we were sitting here talking about how,
mhm,
well, there's so much going on in the world. There's all this uncertainty. There's a lot of chaos. There's a lot of fear. There's a lot of anger. There's all these energies, right, that are out there right now. Planet feels like it's shifting a lot. Earthquakes are going off. Volcanoes all over the place. There's just a lot of stuff going on. And what can we talk about in terms of like helping people through those times? And we were talking about, you know, this idea of non-attachment, this idea of forgiveness, and how do you forgive, and
yeah.
how do you get to that place of not being attached, and how do you get to a place of accepting what is? And we were just sort of, I don't know, rambling around about all that stuff, right?
Hmm.
And one of the things that in Buddhism they always talk about non-attachment, being non-attached. In other words, allowing things to be as they are and not getting too attached to any specific direction. And that's obviously, if you think about it, if you could be non-attached to everything that's going on in the world right now, that would be a beautiful place to be.
Yeah.
Right? Because most of
Right.
us are very attached to how things are playing out,
Hmm.
right? Whether
And
we
there's
want.
there's a lot going on. So it's
Yes.
not like, okay, I can forget about that. Then all of a sudden this shows up. So there's so much
Yeah.
that I guarantee you everybody is affected right now, somehow, some way, somewhere.
Yeah.
If you're not affected, I like to know where you are because I'm gonna join you.
And
Okay.
yeah, so it was like,
I
okay,
want to come visit. So,
but then we were talking about, this was before we hit record, right? We said, "Hey, maybe we should just
mhm,
record this," because we were a little bit rambly about it, but I was just, like, okay,
mhm,
the Buddhism always talked about non-attachment. In the Course of Miracles, which is a particular teaching that I've had practiced and followed and became a core principle teaching for me, which is supposed to be a teaching that came from Jesus, whether you believe that or not. It's a beautiful teaching, but that teaching talks about forgiveness,
mhm,
right? And so we were discussing before we hit record was, you have to forgive in order to let go.
mhm.
Like, it feels like they're connected somehow, and I'm not even totally clear if, on what that sense is. And some people get into these weird dynamics about, oh, the world's an illusion, and so you're not forgiving anything or whatever. But, to me, it's like there is this emotional component of forgiveness. Like,
Mhm.
and it doesn't mean that whatever happened is okay. If somebody offended or did something to you and you're forgiving and you're wanting to get beyond that thing and you're wanting to let it go, how do you let it go? Because that can be very, very hard. If somebody hurt you or abused you or did something really traumatically bad or wrong, you
It's
know,
a it's a process. I mean,
yeah,
it's not like you could if you just go like, you know what, like let's say Sheldon does something that really upsets me, hurts me. I said, you know what, I'm just gonna forget about it, let it go. I'm done.
and that's something
Either
people always do. They say that a lot,
yeah,
like,
but they
"Oh,
don't.
I
So
I'm over it." It's like, "Are you
yeah,
really?"
so I could say, Sheldon did this. I go, I'm gonna forget about it. Either I
Yeah,
forget about it and make him not my friend,
yeah.
or I forget about it and let it just go and it's okay, continue on with the friendship. Either
And
way,
sometimes we bury it, right? You
yeah.
say,
So
"Oh, I'm
either
gonna forget
way,
about it," but you did.
yeah. So that's what I was gonna talk about. So
Okay, sorry.
either way, no, you're good. Either way, one, if I don't forgive him, just say I'm gonna forget about it and let him go on, we're still gonna be friends. It's gonna be in there.
Yeah,
It's gonna fester, like you were
yeah,
talking about.
yeah,
If I say, you know what, I'm just not gonna hang out with him anymore. I'm out of here. I'm done. Well, that's fine because he's gone, he's out of my life, but it's still
yeah.
there. It's in me. So I may have gotten rid of you as
Yeah,
quote unquote the problem that
yeah,
I'm having with, but I never got rid of the issue inside of me.
yeah,
And so you got to give that forgiveness either way,
yeah,
whether I become your friend anymore or whether I stay your friend. that forgiveness needs to go away. I
Yeah.
mean, you need to have that
Yes.
forgiveness in order for that situation inside not to fester and let it go away.
In order to have the release,
Yeah. I can
right?
still say I don't like what Sheldon did.
Yep.
Let him go. He's not going to be my friend,
Yep.
but I've forgiven that situation.
Yeah.
And so now I can go and heal and move on.
Yep.
Not that maybe I was a problem, but I wasn't the problem. We're making things up.
Yep.
If Sheldon was the only problem, whole thing, 100%, it's still a problem with me because it's festering.
Yep.
So once I forgive, like, why are you forgiving him? It wasn't your fault. Yeah, but I have to forgive to let it go.
Yep.
Otherwise, I'll be angry the rest of my life. Like
Yep.
10 years later, God damn Sheldon, what a stupid bird.
Yep.
But no, it's like if you let it go, it's like, hey, let it go. Let him go his way.
Yep.
You know? Or in a friendship, if I do that forgiveness, then that can let us be friends stronger,
Again.
because I'm going like,
Yeah.
"Hey," yeah.
Reconnect.
So,
Yep.
yeah, totally.
And
So,
and I do believe that's a pretty fundamental Christian teaching, isn't it?
yep, mhm, yep,
Turning
it
the other
is.
cheek, all this
Yep,
stuff, right? And it's not something that's practiced very often,
mm-mm,
you
no,
know,
it's hard
the
to forgive.
it's
I'm
hard
not
to
gonna
forgive.
argue that.
Yeah,
Oh my, because
100%.
that's becoming humble.
Yes. It's
You're actually
beautiful.
coming down to how they always talk about dogs, you're petting a dog, when a dog rolls over and they're on their back,
Yeah.
they're the most vulnerable at that
Vulnerable.
point.
Yeah.
That's the point of rolling over, being that dog and going like,
Yes.
"I'm vulnerable.
Yeah.
I'm vulnerable.
Yes.
I forgive you." It's hard to say, if when you're given that forgiveness, it's almost like saying I'm wrong, but it's not it's the opposite. But
Yep.
you're forgiving, saying, "Oh, you're weak. Oh,
Yeah,
you're giving
people think
up."
that
It's like,
forgiveness
no,
is weakness. Yeah, they
yeah,
do. People say that all
hmm
the time, that
yeah,
they have this, sense that somehow forgiving somebody is being weak, and it's not.
and that person hurt you. How can you forgive them?
Yeah.
Well, because I need to
Yep.
inside,
Yeah.
you know,
It's for
and
me. It's for me ultimately.
yes,
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
exactly,
Yeah.
yeah, and it's one of those. Maybe in that you're starting to forgive is in that conversation with that person,
Yeah.
and help you guys are working through it. It's like, you got to work through it. Happens in marriages.
Yep.
There's that forgiveness. If a situation arises and something happens, you don't forgive, then that relationship will never continue forward.
Yeah, and you talked about this having a sense of humility, right? And a sense of
Hmm.
vulnerability.
Hmm.
Right? That, it's like you're the dog on your back with your belly completely exposed. I totally agree, those things are hard, especially for men. You feel like, so that's what happens is you bury it, you get angry, and then you become aggressive, right?
Hmm.
And then you're like,
Yeah,
"Fuck that. I'm never gonna let anybody do that to me again." You know what I mean? "I'm never gonna let anybody hurt me like that again," or whatever it is, and you actually, and then you're just building up all these
yeah.
wounds, and, the 4 agreements, uh Miguel Ruiz, I think, is the author of the Four Agreements. It's a Native American spiritual teaching, and he talks about, like, most of us have, like, a scab. When you bury it, it becomes like a scab, but the wound underneath is infected.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
it's all full of
And
pus and disgusting, and so then you can't even touch it, right? And that's when it becomes like a hair trigger. If somebody touches on that little scab, and it's ow,
it
and you
hurts. It
overreact
hurts.
and you blow up, right? Because it hurts so
Yeah.
bad. But it's just like, I didn't do anything. All I
Hmm.
said was this thing. And why are you getting so freaked out, right? So
So,
all of these things are really cool
mhm.
things to talk about. Go ahead.
So I brought up before, okay, because it's just life, is that song "Forgiveness" by
Yeah,
Matthew West. It's a
yeah,
Christian song.
yeah,
I'll read the first part, and then I'll
yeah,
go down to the good part.
yeah,
It's all good. It says, "It's the hardest." The song is called "Forgiveness." That's why it says it. It's the hardest thing to give away, and the last thing on your mind today, because you don't want to give it
yeah,
up.
yeah,
It always goes to those that don't deserve.
yeah,
It's the opposite of how you feel when the pain that caused it is just too real. It takes everything you have to just say the word. Then it goes forgiveness. But way down near the bottom, ugh, we'll see if I tear up again or not. Every time I
It's one
read
of
this,
those,
I start to
yeah,
cry. I start to cry because this people, I'm going to tell everybody real quick before I read this. I'm listening to this song. I'm in my truck and going through life, and this came up, and I bawled so much. I
yeah,
was just bawling because it's like, wow, I need to give it up.
yeah,
So here's near the end of the song. It says this. Um, um, I'll be one part ahead of it. It says, help me to do the impossible. Forgiveness. It clears the bitterness away. It can even set a prisoner free. There is no end to what its power can do. So let it go and be amazed. Whew. By what you see through the eyes of grace, the prisoner that it really sets free is you.
It's beautiful.
That's was like, whoa.
Yeah.
I'm holding myself prisoner by not
Yeah.
forgiving somebody
Yeah.
or holding it against them when it's like it's not even hurting that person.
Yeah. Hey,
There was nothing there that there was no like, you're doing this to me, you got to stop it. It was just like I was angry
yeah.
and had to forgive.
Yeah.
Let it go.
Yeah.
Basically, the forgiveness is not just saying I'm okay with what you did. It kind of is, but it's more of a let it go.
Yeah.
Just forget it. It's
It's
gone.
it's an interesting dynamic, and I'm,
Hmm.
not the best at describing that, right? But there is this, connection between forgiveness and to me, it felt like because again, Buddhism is not attachment and letting go, and this Course in Miracles was like, you gotta forgive, and to me, I always felt like forgiveness is before the letting go. You can't let go until you've forgiven, right? And
Exactly.
and that forgiven, again, like you're saying, isn't like, isn't saying that it's okay what happened, right? You're not saying that, but you're also kinda saying that, you're done with this whole dynamic and you are at that point where you can just release. It's like a release that happens when you truly forgive. There's a release that happens, and I always feel it like energetically, right? It's like a poof, and
Hmm.
and it becomes a lightness. There's a shift that happens in you, and like you said, it's a journey and a process. And people can say, "I forgive and I forgive and I forgive," and they believe they have, but they really haven't because there's a party that's
Hmm.
sometimes hanging on. Um, but it's a powerful, powerful and difficult process that has
Hmm.
to happen if you want to have peace, right? We talk
Hmm.
about journeys and the conversation on the journey of personal transformation, and the pursuit of lasting peace and happiness, right? That's what the whole podcast is about. It's like
Hmm.
that is one of the keys is forgiveness, right? Like how do you do that? And you have to wanna do it, right? I think you have
Yeah.
to wanna have that
Oh.
peace in your you have to recognize that you're the one suffering. Somebody did
Hmm.
you wrong and
Yeah.
and yeah, fine, they did you something wrong, and I'm not trying to minimize that, right? Because some of those things can be horrific, but
Exactly.
at the same time, at this point in time, who's suffering?
Hmm.
You're suffering, and
Yeah.
sometimes we wanna hang on to that suffering as a way of, quote, unquote, "punishing the person,"
Which
you know?
that person's not even being punched. They're out doing their life.
Yeah, they're out
You're
doing
like,
their life, and
I'm
usually the
I'm mad
people
at
that
you.
yeah, and usually the people that are the assholes in the world, right? They're out there, like, having a good time doing it to somebody
Yeah.
else. They don't even care, you
And
know?
I'm the one holding
Yeah,
it
yeah.
in and
That's
making myself go down. It's like,
yeah,
no.
yeah, and so
So it's
so,
hard.
yeah,
It's a hard thing to sit there and say, you know, it's not going up to the person saying, I forgive you. It's just like,
yeah,
hey, I forgive it. Let it
yeah,
go.
yeah,
Let them go.
yeah,
And so know that as we talk about this, one, as Sheldon said, so some of this when we want to forgive, it's hard because of what you've gone through. There's some
yeah,
things that I hear about that I have will never experience, I hope, in my life that people have to forgive to get
yeah,
past that.
yeah.
Um, I know
Well,
some of that's a really hard thing to do, but if you can just sit and just kind of process and go, okay,
yeah,
how can I forgive this person?
yeah,
It's not going up and saying I forgive you or going to have to say, okay, now I'm going to be their friend forever because I'm going to forgive them. No, that's not what it is. It's just I forgive what they've done to me so that I can heal within myself.
and it's also, like, you have to allow all of the anger, you have to allow the guilt or the shame or whatever the emotions that you are not being present with, you have to allow all that stuff to come up.
Hmm.
And you have to allow yourself to feel that stuff, right? So there's this process of that's how the release happens, is when you repress that. Like sometimes, oh, I'm a bad person if I don't forgive, so I'm going to forgive, but you really haven't because you haven't
Hmm.
even allowed yourself to feel the anger and the resentment. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're,
Yeah.
you're you're doing it for the act, not for
Yeah.
the
So
reason.
what were you
Yeah.
talking about? The was that quote that you were saying the comes from within?
Oh, from the song.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Was that
Oh, or was that from Joyce Meyer's one when we're
maybe
talking?
it's yeah.
Let me go to. Yes, I use my phone and write on papers just so you guys know it's real life here. Um, uh, that was about. It says where the mind goes, you follow. Um, well, one. this kind of goes with the one I was talking about beforehand. Our mindset is a choice, and that's
Yeah,
kind of where that mindset is.
yeah,
Your mindset is okay. Am I going to process through and find my peace and happiness and get let this go, or am I going to sit there and quote unquote I'm gonna forgive him and then still be angry with it? So where's your mindset?
yeah,
At that
yeah,
point, kind of. Um, and it's reflective of what's in your heart. A person's nature is what is reflective of what's in their heart. So if you if you are truly going down and forgiving, that's where your heart is. But
yeah,
if you're just doing it because of an act
yeah,
of saying, okay, if I forgive him, I'm gonna be so happy.
yeah.
Well, no, you're not really, because it's gonna hurt to go in there and forgive.
So that one
So
that just said reflective of what's in your heart, you didn't read the whole thing. Is that
okay, yeah. So
that's
this
the
is
one, yeah,
from Proverbs 23:7. It
yeah,
says, "For as he thinks in his heart, so is he."
yeah, yeah,
And then the two little points I had out off of with that, a person's true nature is reflective of what's in their heart, and a person's true character is revealed by their inner thoughts and intentions, not just their outward words or actions. I think that's the one you wanted.
yeah,
So it's like your true character or your true self is what's inside.
yeah,
I can go and forgive, but am I really forgiven inside?
yeah, and you can act a certain way outside and not have any of that in your heart.
Yes.
Right? And so that's
Hmm.
it's reflective of the true character that's in your heart, that you have to
Yeah.
and you have to learn how to connect to that because so many people are completely numb to that thing.
Yeah.
It's been buried, it's been disrespected, and so there is a part of especially when you've been, hurt in some way, uh, that humility that you were talking about at the beginning, the vulnerability to yourself, right? To be able
Hmm.
to even acknowledge that you feel that pain, because for many guys, it's like, oh fuck that, she didn't do nothing to me.
It's weakness. It's
You know,
almost a
he
weakness.
she
Yeah.
didn't hurt me. She didn't say anything. I don't care. I don't give a shit. You know what I mean? That kind of that
Yeah.
macho stuff, right?
Hmm.
And I think I know I've said it before. Like, one of the hardest things with Jacqueline and I was for me to just admit that she hurt me. Just to
Hmm.
say that you hurt my feelings when you said that. It's like,
Yeah.
whew, because then I would
Yeah.
get passive aggressive. I wouldn't want to say that, but then I would bury it. I'd be irritated about something, and then she'd say
Yeah.
some little stupid thing, and I was like, I can't believe you did that, and I would jump on her for whatever, right? And
Hmm.
that dynamic. But if you just say, hey, you really hurt me when you said that, it hurt my feelings, and then we could talk about that, and then it would just release all of that, and then
Yeah.
nothing else would come up later on, right? So,
Hmm.
um, yeah,
And I know that that issue with that Sheldon just talked about, we've talked about in previous episodes, so it's not like just throwing out that Jacqueline and him had an issue. So it was something we
yeah,
talked
yeah,
about.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah,
So
because
it's
I'm
just
gonna
a
tell you, Jacqueline is one wonderful, wonderful woman. So
yeah,
it's not like she's always doing that. So
no,
it's
not at all.
if you have been in a marriage and not had a disagreement,
Yes.
again,
Yeah.
come on our show. We'd like to
Good
talk.
good luck. Yeah, right. We
So
would love to hear you. We'd love to hear that story. Um, and then we were also talking about this idea, there's a saying of die before you die. Um,
mm,
I think
yeah, we were talking about that.
Apostle Paul
Yeah.
said, "I die daily," and then in the Sufi tradition, there's an expression of "die before you die,"
Hmm.
and what does that mean? And to me, that has always meant this whole thing that we're talking about with regard to forgiveness and letting go is a kind of death, right? If you let some old wound go, it's gone, it's dead in a
Yes.
certain way. And then you, that part of you that was wounded and victimized, is dead too. So
Yeah.
there's a death to that old you and then a resurrection or rising of the new you, a power, you know
Hmm.
what I mean? You are born again into the new version of yourself, the better version, as you let go, as you forgive, as you release the old version of yourself and all the old ones.
Yeah. Because
Yeah.
you're like letting that oldness go. It's
Yeah.
like it's a new day, basically.
It's like
And
shedding the skin, like a snake that sheds the skin or whatever. When you shed the skin and you
mhm,
release, or the whole, you know, caterpillar
yeah,
to the thing, the butterfly, right? Everything there's a death of the old and a rebirth of the new that has to happen. And how does that happen is through forgiveness and through this this letting go, which ultimately has to do with humility, vulnerability, the ability to be sensitive to what you're truly feeling and to acknowledge that, right? Um, and for
so
me,
you
the
were
way I go ahead.
go ahead, no, go ahead. You were talking about, 'cause you mentioned, the Bible part. It's like, it's "I protest by rejoicing, which I have Christ Jesus our Lord, I die daily." It's
Yeah,
like dying daily to say, "Hey, I'm letting all that go.
yeah.
I'm
I'm
coming into a new
surrendering
day.
I'm
I'm with you."
surrendering
It's yeah, it's
constantly.
surrender, yeah,
Yeah,
and you're indirectly resurrecting for the next day. Like,
yeah,
I die daily, let it
yep,
go,
yep.
come
And
back.
And it's the egoic death too, right? Because
Hmm.
even that earlier quote where it said, the consciousness or the thought of the heart or whatever, right? It's like the heart, And so um you can't serve two masters, the master of your mind and your ego and the master of your heart, right? So,
Hmm.
you have to pick. And so it's connecting into the heart space, which is through feeling, right? And when you feel that and you connect to that, um, uh, there was that one saying, again, I think it might be in the way of mastery. It's like the mind is a tyrannical master, but the loyal servant of an awakened heart.
Mm.
So when you're in your mind alone,
Explain
that's
that. Explain that. Yeah.
when you're in
Explain
your
that to me.
mind. Yeah, the mind is a tyrannical master, but the
Okay.
loyal servant of an awakened heart. So so
Okay.
when you're just in your mind, which is just in your ego, and you think that's all there is, that thing will never satisfy you. Right?
Okay.
So you will always need more. I got the job. I want a better job. I got the house. I want a bigger house. I got the car. I want a bigger car. I got the wife. I want
Mhm.
another wife. I got you know what I mean? I got the wife. I want a girlfriend. Whatever it is, it will never be enough. And that is the mind. That is the egoic mind.
Oh.
It's a tyrant. You will never find peace in the mind. Right.
Mhm.
So that's how the mind functions, right? And that's what the egoic mind does. And it's always in that state of seeking. It's always in the state of comparison. And we've talked about that a lot on the show. I mean, some of that has to do with biology and it's wired for survival of the physical body, right? But when you connect into the heart, when you connect into your divinity, to the spirit within you that
Mhm.
transcends the body, and you connect to the divine spark, and it awakens within you. Now it's radiating a light, and it's radiating um, presence, and it's radiating knowing that it is divinely connected. And then you open a channel, and now that heart might say, I want you to go feed the homeless, which is what mine's been saying lately, right?
Mhm.
you
Yep.
know, and
Mhm.
then the mind says, well, how do I make that happen? So that is the mind is a loyal servant of an awakened heart. Your heart
Mhm.
calls for you to extend love in a specific way, shape, or form, whether it be, hey, I just want to cook dinner for my family and make them happy with
Mhm.
the food, or I want to, you know, be a better librarian, you know what I mean? I wanna
Yeah.
serve my kids, right? And we talked
Mhm.
about that in the last episode, that service doesn't have to be something dramatic. It can be very, very
Yes.
part of just you living your life, but when you're doing it from that place that's within your heart as an act
Mhm.
of love, as an act of service, the mind then says, "Okay, I can help you to do that. Why don't you talk to that person?" "Hey, that person looks like
Mhm.
they're sad," right? And you've had those guidances, right? Where your mind says, "Hey,
Yep.
do something." That's the mind being the loyal servant of an awakened heart. So the mind is a tyrannical
Yeah.
master, but the loyal servant of an awakened heart is a very simple line, but it's really profound in my mind, in my book.
Yeah. But I love that because I'm gonna use it. I'm gonna tell me if I'm right. So like your heart told you, okay, I want to feed the homeless. Your mind's going, okay, let's do this, this, and this.
Yes.
Now, if you stop listening to the heart, your mind's going like, well, hey, we could become a billionaire and make this company to do what I want
Yeah,
to do.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
But
yeah,
no,
yeah.
no, no. That's not what we're doing this for. It's
Right.
like you gotta go back to the heart. So if you get away from the heart,
Yeah.
that mind can go the wrong direction. So you got to
100%.
stay in
But
the heart.
so for us, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was a heart calling to do this podcast, right? Maybe we can
Yep.
help people see be happy. But then the mind says, "Hey, if I get 100,000 views and da 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 da," right? So it's exactly
Mm-hmm.
the same thing you're talking about, right? My mind would kick in and get all weird about the stuff, and it'd be like, "Hey, just remember, get back into the
Yep.
heart." And
So
we're here.
I'm gonna sidebar right here. I'm gonna call Sheldon out. So this is fun. And we're real. Next level real talk
Yeah.
people. So which we want a lot of views. We want a lot
Well, I
of
would love that
shares.
if it
We
could help
we
people, if
yes,
it could
because
touch people.
yeah, it's not just, oh yes, we got 50 million people. Like, are you touching people though? So and we said from the beginning before we even did our first podcast, like, what are we doing for it? Well, as long as we touch one person
If it helps one
every
person,
time, helps one person,
if
we've
it
done our job.
it's beautiful.
And at one time, and it's funny because Sheldon he loves his numbers and he can see all that stuff from his side. I don't see it from my side. And he's like, "No, this one didn't get as much. This one didn't get me." And I go, "Sheldon, did someone watch it? We don't know if we touched them. I think we probably possibly could." So, and in an episode, we did something, and in walks one of my fellow colleagues, Sarah. Sarah P from North. Now she left it, but love you, girl. She walked in, just walked right to my desk, And because she was teary eyed, she's like, "I want you to know, I listened to your podcast on the way to work today. I needed that." And she was crying. She was, "I
Oof.
needed that today." And I called her, I go, "Sheldon, we got our one. We did it. We got our one. Let's go to the next one." And so it's funny because we deal with numbers, but it's hard because I mean, we want more people because we're
And
hoping that more people means we're helping more people.
and the ego
But
mind says, "Hey, that's great, but could it be
yep,
1,000?
yeah.
Could be 100, could be" you know what I mean? "Hey, that's
So
great. I'm
here's a
glad it's
real
not gonna."
example from
Yeah,
one of your podcasters right here. So sorry, Sheldon.
yeah. And then the mind still goes, "Hey, how about more?" It's crazy.
And I'm the
Um,
same. I do the same. I'm like, "God, we
yeah.
gotta get more on this one."
Yep, yep.
Um, and you gotta evaluate that. And by the way, I love it when Sheldon does ask that. Is like because it makes us think about what we're doing, how we're doing it. And the so know that where that heart is coming from, don't let it get away from the heart and go keep coming back.
Yep,
Keep coming back to that.
yep,
And that's that dying daily.
yep.
To me, dying daily is coming back to the heart. Okay, where was I? Oh shoot, I did this today, and that's not really what I wanted to do.
And
That's
it
not where I'm going.
and I think also, the 3-minute meditation that we've talked about before, the
Mhm.
the golden sun meditation. And I think,
Yeah.
in Islam, they pray 5 times a day too, right? And I do think that there's something to that, right? The stopping your day, connecting, and reminding yourself that, hey, connect to the heart, connect to your higher power. Like that matters. And then moving from that place. It's kind of reminding you of that all the time. And, the truth of the matter is it just feels good and it's easier and you laugh easier and you have more fun during the day and things seem to flow and fall into place and all that. That's that whole seek first the kingdom and all things will be added unto, right? That things
Mhm.
flow better, right? They flow. And, you end up not having to, half the stuff that you would have worried about, oh, I didn't need to worry about it. It all worked itself out. And you'll find that those things happen, but there's a certain amount of trust or whatever that you have to experience some of that, I
Yeah.
think, directly. And then you start to go, huh, maybe this does work
Exactly.
yeah.
And I as we've been talking, I do jot notes as you see me looking down jotting. Um, the the process that I kinda as we're talking, I'm going, wow, this is a good process we need to talk about. Um, when you're in a position and you don't know if you need to forgive or want to forgive, it's the steps I wrote down where you got to be humble. Start right off and go like, okay, I mean, this is gonna be hard, and know
Mm,
that it's gonna be hard. Be vulnerable
mhm.
because it's gonna hurt,
Yep,
and then at that point, you need to go within,
yep,
which is the meditation part. So
mhm,
if you're there and it's like, okay, I'm willing to be humble, I'm willing to be vulnerable, I need to meditate on this
yep,
because that'll let you allow to go within, and that will allow you to start to forgive.
yep,
But it's a journey.
yep,
So it's quite a journey. So I mean, if you humble yourself, vulnerable, I meditate, I'm unforgiven.
yep,
Well, it may not happen that
yeah,
moment. So don't think it's like, whew, did my 4 steps, walk on. It's like,
yeah.
no, you're in that meditation. You're like, oh, this hurts. You're like,
And the
as you come
meditation
out, go
opens
ahead.
you up, right? There's
Mhm.
a stillness in the mind because that ego mind is always running, which automatically opens the heart space and allows you to receive guidance.
Yeah,
That is,
and it may be 3, 4, 5, maybe days down the road, maybe a week
yep.
before you're like, "Oh, I think I'm ready
Oh,
for this.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
ready for this."
yep,
So that's where that humbling and
mhm,
vulnerable. You may not be humble or vulnerable right away before you meditate. So know that
yep,
that may be a different
yep,
process. But if you can humble yourself and say, you know what, I'm going to meditate on this. I'm just going to, or maybe during, if you do meditations every day, great. It may be a meditation that makes you humble
mhm,
and vulnerable
yep,
and gets you eventually on the journey to forgiveness.
yeah.
So, yeah.
And there's,
So,
one other thing that's just popped in my head is that sometimes when people pray, and I always said where prayer is like talking to God, meditation is like listening, right? And
mhm,
then when people pray, oftentimes they'll say, "Show me what I need to do
mhm,
so I can take care of this."
yeah.
And if you think about it, that's not very humble because that's still you wanting to be in control,
Yeah.
right? That's your ego
Mhm,
mind still saying, "I want to," so help me get the right answer and then I'll handle this. Versus, I just surrender this whole thing up and I'm wide open. My mind
mhm.
is quiet and help or whatever. So there's there's that humility is really key. That vulnerability, humility aspect to being open to um, miraculous healing, which is what release can be. It can be released in an instant. It doesn't always happen like that, right? But there's this. and not knowing how it's gonna look, not knowing how
Mhm.
long it's gonna take, not knowing any of that stuff, and just being open to what is,
Yeah.
that's that surrendering of the whole process is a really, tricky. I mean, it's a process and it's a journey and it doesn't ever
Mhm.
end and it continues through layers and all that kinda stuff we've always said. But ultimately, that is true healing. When you can get through this
Yes.
process, whatever that thing is that was bringing you out of peace, that's what true healing is. And that's when we talk about this journey on the pursuit of lasting peace and happiness. That's
Mhm.
lasting peace. When you can,
Yeah.
if you've gone through that, if you've forgiven something and therefore not as attached to something by doing this whole process we're talking about, you will find a peace with that issue, that
Yep.
thing, that person,
Mhm.
whatever that is, that circumstance that is way beyond anything you'd possibly comprehend, way beyond anything you would have ever predicted, and you'll just be happier for it and
Yeah.
lighter. There's a
Mhm.
lightness, and I think we could all use some lightness and some ease,
Yes.
and some laughter, in this world today, and that's how
Mhm.
this whole thing started, right? It was like,
Exactly.
you know,
Totally. And,
so
yeah, so, yeah, as I love how Sheldon puts it in there, it's that what we all that's our tagline is, the journey to peace and happiness,
yep,
of
that's right.
lifelong peace and happiness, and I
Yep,
tell you what, once you get to that forgiveness, it's gonna be hard. Like me, I wasn't thinking hard about forgiveness, but realized, like, "Wait a minute, I need to forgive
yeah.
because
That
'cause I'm
song
holding
is what
myself."
told you, and it
Oh my god,
hit all
and
of a
every
sudden.
time I read that thing, I cry. I'm like,
It
"Doggone it, man." I got one day, I don't know when I'll start crying on that thing. But I love it. That's hey,
It's
that just
beautiful.
shows you how
It's
much it
beautiful.
yeah.
Yeah,
And so know that it's not an easy journey at times.
yeah,
Sometimes it's a hard one, and it's just stick with it and know that, hey, if you're meditating into your heart, into your within, it's gonna be easier because it's gonna tell you,
yeah,
"Yes, it's
yeah,
okay."
and you
Just
can do it.
relax.
Yeah.
Because the mind tries to overpower at times. So if you just
Mhm.
meditate, say, no, we're okay, we're okay. That'll help train the brain.
Yep,
So
yep,
yeah. So we hope you're out there and this week have a chance, to look within.
yep,
If there's something does pop up, I'm sorry if
yep.
something does pop up, but if it does,
Exactly.
try to
"Oh,
use
sorry,
it.
dude."
I'm like, go. This isn't one go out and find this, okay? So
Yeah.
don't.
We're
This
not
is just
asking we're not telling you to find it.
yeah.
But
Your
for most
homework
of
is to
us,
go
there's
find.
something there. But for most of us, there is something there. That's the
Yeah.
truth.
So that thing that has you, there we go.
Yeah,
That thing that has you right now, see if you can go through this process.
yeah,
It may not be humbling yourself first, and maybe just meditating, and that
and being
meditating will get
vulnerable.
you to humbling
What do
and
I
be
really
vulnerable.
feel? What do I really
Yeah.
feel in this moment? What am I
So
feeling about this?
so maybe that first step is meditate
Yeah,
and say, where am I in
yeah,
this? And it's like, okay, I'm gonna humble myself. I'm gonna be vulnerable, and I'm gonna work through it. You may not say forgive that first time, but you
yeah,
may say, you know what? I'm ready to forgive this. I'm
yeah.
up. I'm done,
Yeah,
which would be awesome. I'm
yep,
happy for you. But understand you may have to go through that process quite a bit.
yep,
So till it finally goes, "Boop, I'm
yep,
not the prisoner.
yep,
I'm not going to be a prisoner,
yep.
you know?
Someday you're
So,
riding along in your truck and some song pops on and bam, all of a sudden you realize, boom, you melt down but you have that release and you realize, whoa, I'm the one
yep,
holding me back.
yep,
I'm the one who's keeping myself from being happy in this moment.
hmm
You know,
yep.
what a beautiful, powerful thing.
Because we want you to be happy.
Yes, that's the whole point of this
So,
show, right? Is to
yeah,
find
exactly. So,
pursuit of lasting peace and happiness. So,
yeah. So, hey, we hope you guys have a great week. We've already given you kind of the homework. We don't want you to go find it, but if it's there, work through it. So it's kind
some
of weird,
tools in the
Yeah,
back
there we
pocket. That's what we're always
tools to
talking
help
about.
you in
Tools.
some kind of homework. There we go.
Yeah,
The homework is to use the tools if
yeah,
something
yeah.
happens. There we go.
Should something happen?
And we hope you guys can have a smile and laugh and have a great week. And
Yep,
we'll definitely be back next week. And hope
yep,
don't forget to share.
yep,
Share this with people,
yep,
like us,
yep, yep,
sign up, whatever we do, all that kind of stuff. Leave us a comment. If you ever have, and again, we always say it, like we aren't live.
yep,
But if you leave us comments and you ask questions, we'll definitely get back to you. We're here to talk.
yep,
Not that we're the experts, but we can always talk and
yeah,
enjoy the process
yep,
with you and find somebody that need, find you what you
yep,
need. So
yep. Sending you all love
yes.
and blessings, and thanks for watching.
Yep. Have a great week. Keep that smile on.